Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Timmy Train. I'm your link to the fire within and to God. Alright guys, you got power. You can change anything in your life you want to, but that's up to you, right? Anything on what you learn. If you learn from the people around you and you don't learn anything better, then you're going to be just like them, right? And a lot of people around you are really messed up. You know what I'm saying? They live for just a survival, right? They're not building nothing, right? They're survival, which is not bad. You know, you got to survive, right? But survival where if you want to be better, then you got to learn more, right? And a lot of people just don't like to learn more, right? That's the whole reason that when you're growing up, you know, you got schooling. You know, they put in a system for you to learn schooling because they know you have to, or you live like an animal, right? But once you get out of this system of schooling, you at least know how to function in the world with other people, right? Now, when they say you got a power, doesn't mean you need to use that you have to use your power accordingly to what God, want you to. But a lot of things that people use their power, like they disregard their power. Actually, they don't use their power. They use their feeling and their empathy, right? They're feeling their empathy and they disregard the rule of law. Another way to disregard the dangers behind everything, in the world. God create things the way it put things in orders, the way it functions, to the whole ecosystem work together, right? And they give human power to oversee everything, right? He gives you power to oversee everything, but over the years, human become, disenfranchised by all these things that they learn, and they want to become like animals instead. They will need proof for everything. Instead of look at the thing, God created thing for us to enjoy and for us to to follow Him, but instead they do. They go with the emotion, the feeling, right? The feeling, the empathy for everything that God created, especially like animal-wise, right? That's including human. Humans are, called a creature, animal, right? And we can act like animal if we don't obey the law, right? So over time, what happened? When human, they start using their power, just like you watch any movie, right? The superhero got a power. He got to learn how to use the power. You watch Kung Fu movie, the Kung Fu guys have to learn the Kung Fu, and he got to know how to use the Kung Fu, right? The same thing, own personal life, right? You got power, but you got to learn how to use the power, right? But when you're growing up, you surround the people, that was using the power, and they teach you what they know. So that's all they know, right? So all they know is that, and the bad thing is that a lot of these people become your therapist, your doctor, your lawyer, all kind of stuff like that around you, and they don't know the law either, right? So you all like learn from each other's, and nothing is affected, right? Because if you don't believe in God, not strongly conviction in God, and teach teach people about God, the good news, create, prosper, and multiply. What happened? A lot of people don't know, so they want to go out in the world. And they work for other people, and eventually when you work for other people, eventually you get tired, right? If you do not enjoy it, you can get tired, and you get demotivated, you know what I'm saying? And life is suck for you. It's because you don't learn more, right? You don't learn to build and prosper, create, And part is that, when you work for other people, it's like, you gotta see, look, I didn't learn this thing when I was young too, I mean, it depends on the timeline that you grow up into, it depends on technology. Allow you to do certain things to get more freedom, right? But when you continue to live in the past, you got to follow, whatever was said before you. Then, if you want to learn more and spread the God, you're able to span more and solve more problems, create more things, right? So that's how it's going to work. And that's how it's working for thousands of years, and it's going to be 1,000 more years. It's that you got to create, build, and prosper. For right now, it's like, everybody in franchise where we need to take from other people, right? We need to steal from other people. You know what I'm saying? When you take from other people, you steal from other people, you're not creating, so you're not prospering, right? The same thing for instant, right? You know, China making things for us, right? They was prosper because they make product. And we start suffering because we don't make the product, right? So everybody's like trying to do service for each other in the Western world. We service, you don't create nothing, so we do service. I mean, how much service, you know, we're gonna have? It's just like stealing money, right? You service, you stealing, pretty much like stealing money. I mean, yeah, you know, learning knowledge is a good thing, right? But with the knowledge, you can pretty much learn all the free knowledge now. Your library, the internet, give you all these knowledge. But you got to be careful with the knowledge you learn too. You know, that's like you got a power you can use for good or for bad. That's up to you. Now you follow God, you use for good. You can help people prosper and multiply, right? If you don't believe in God, you pretty much like want to punish. You know, you don't believe in God, you pretty much become God in part of it, right? And that doesn't mean that non-believer become God. They, you know, even the believer become God themselves, right? They say they believe in God, but they want to force things on the non-believer, right? Because they realize, you know, if we create our own law, we can make money of this thing, right? And now they become God. God don't need your money, right? You know, the pastor don't need your money, right? You contribute the money is because you somehow feeling good, contribute that money. Now you control all your money, you suffer, and that's not a good thing, right? So, you know, it's all on who you believe, what you believe. It doesn't matter. From now on, from this point on in your life, whether you believe me or not, you know, that's up to you, right? Because you have that power. I'm going to tell you the truth, just the truth, nothing but the truth. But with that, I don't know everything either, right? I'm still learning. I mean, the human mind is always want to learn, right? You don't learn, you forget, right? And then you start following other people, and you start doing all these things. And when you follow people, and then get you upset, angry, and mad about somebody else, some other human, you follow the wrong person. You follow the wrong person, whether you like it or not. Then you can go out there and you follow them and try you crazy. You go out there and do crazy stuff and hurt other people. What happened? Then you're gonna get locked up. You know what I'm saying? That's why man created a law to lock you up or to punish you, is because you don't follow God's law. So because they knew that you're gonna go crazy because you follow other crazy people, and you're gonna do crazy stuff, and you're gonna hurt yourself, you know, hurt other people, or you know, hurt yourself or other people. So they're gonna have to, you know, punish you because God don't care. You know, God saying, no, you can hurt yourself, you hurt other people, they're gonna, you know, somebody else gonna hurt you. Right? That's the way it's gonna work, right? So for you to change your life, for you to make your life better, is that you gotta learn more, and you gotta learn from the people that really trying to help you. See, if I trying to help you today, you know, my life's gonna change, right? My thought, you know, gonna get older and I forget things, right? So it's gonna, you know, because you're thinking of human form, that because your cell and everything it deteriorates, you know, the information you obtain, hopefully good information you pass out to the next generation for other people to make their life better. But if you don't, then you know you just here for nothing, right? So if you want to change your life, and most important thing that you got to follow God, Jesus Christ, from the commandment. Now you can tell me you don't believe in Jesus Christ, you don't believe in all that, you know, then don't believe. And all I can say to you is that you're gonna suffer. That's all. That's all it is. You know, you gotta believe in something. That way you got your life, right? You got your power, right? And everybody, you know, everything. That's why they say trust in God, don't trust in man, right? Because man can change. Like you can't trust in me, right? Because I don't know what happened to me. If I get into a car accident or something, there, my brain could change, right? My thought pattern could change, right? And then might not believe in God no more. You know what I'm saying? But you know, because you take on a physical form, the cell and something, and those things could be affected over time. But the knowledge, information, they never change, right? What I'm telling you, it will never change. Follow Jesus Christ, follow Ten Commandments, and change your life. That will never change. That will be here for thousands of years, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what Jesus teaches, right? That's why it's gonna last forever. You don't want to learn something that lasts forever, and help your community, help yourself, right? But help yourself first. Then from that way there, your life will change. All right, guys, from God, Jesus Christ, from Ten Commandments, change your life. Bye bye.